From the East Texas Sports Network studios, powered by Texas Dairy Queen, a tradition of excellence, the ETSN podcast, where Clint Buckley and Mike Graham offer their, well, they just talk. It's the lowdown on everything high school football in East Texas. And now, Clint Buckley and Mike Graham.
We've reached the halfway point of the 2015 regular season. Our two 5A districts are off and running, setting up for an interesting week of football. Welcome to the Week 6 edition of the ETSN.fm podcast. I'm Clint Buckley, and I'm joined as always by Mike Graham. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, I'm excited to be here. It's Separation Friday for our 5A districts and District 8, 3A, Division 2.
Well, before we take a look ahead this weekend, let's take a step back and look at what transpired last week, and we'll begin with our two 5A districts, and we'll start with District 15 5A. And how about the Marshall Mavericks? 4-0, and boy, they really impressed last week against Hallsville, winning 56-21.
Looking real good, and we're seeing the development of Cameron Haller. Did you know he's up to 17 rushing touchdowns now?
That's
17.
Amazing, in 4 games.
Yeah, and I don't believe he's broken 600 yards. It's just a whole lot of short distances, and he's powering in, and they're looking great.
Yeah, they have a bunch of weapons. You mentioned Holler, but then they have their primary passing quarterback, Justin Hart, who's been very efficient this year. He only has maybe a handful of incompletions. Chavis Mills, the running back, is doing good work for them, and they have a couple of deep threats in the passing game with Terrell Patton and Jaquavian Dabbs, a receiver. So they're looking really good. Longview is typical Longview. We weren't expecting much of a game between them and Pine Tree last week, and, well, we didn't get one. It was 61-6 Longview. They look just as strong as ever, and don't look now, but Longview and Marshall, 1 week from Friday, that could be a big one. That's shaping up to be an epic matchup between the two oldest rivals in Texas.
Yeah, we're gonna have to create a competition to see who gets that game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too confident if it's arm wrestling. Also in that district, Texas High smashes Sulphur Springs 55-21. Cade Pearson threw for 4 touchdown passes, and that's a big development for Texas High because we all know they can run the ball with Jacardi Witcher and that good offensive line. And Pearson has come along and developed into a pretty good looking quarterback. Like I said, 4 touchdown passes last week. If he can provide them with some steady balance on offense, they can be a force to be reckoned with as the district season rolls on.
No kidding. They play their best when he's clicking. Coming out of the gates in the season opener, and they smashed White House, and then you kind of saw them get back on track with their passing game against Sulphur Springs. And then Jacardi Witcher, just an excellent running back. You don't have to worry about the running game all season. And then the strength of that team is probably their defense. So you're looking at a team that's really starting to turn the corner and become a fully rounded team.
Well, it took a year and about a month, but Corey Homer got his first win as the head coach of the Mount Pleasant Tigers. Congratulations to Mount Pleasant. They snapped a 13-game losing streak last week by beating Greenville 31-21. So Mount Pleasant, for a week at least, tied for first place in 15-5A. So congrats to Mount Pleasant. Now on to 16-5A. Man, we talked about last week on the podcast about not quite knowing what to expect, especially the first week from this district. We thought it could be kind of wide open. Well, we may be wrong about that after seeing the results from the opening week of district play in 16-5A. 3 blowouts, and we'll start with John Tyler and White House. This game was crazy. We talked about how this could be a low-scoring game, compared to some of the games that they've had in the past, but 65-33, John Tyler wins. They right a lot of their wrongs that had been plaguing their offense so far this season. They got Damian Miller involved on offense. He caught 3 touchdown passes, and all of them were from at least 39 yards out. White House had some real trouble staying with John Tyler's receivers. So John Tyler is off the schneid, and they have a win in 2015, their first win of the year. Lufkin and Nacogdoches, 38-0. Lufkin avenging a couple of losses from last year, from the last 2 years.
Yeah, we were concerned about Nacogdoches' offense, and they kind of laid an egg out there. There were a lot of turnovers in that game. Really struggled on that side of the ball, and Lufkin got out early and just didn't look back in that game. And another good win for Lufkin, a team that is right there at the top of 16-5A as we head into the second week of the district schedule.
Yeah, we knew their offense had a chance to be really good, although they're young. Through the first 3 games, they showed glimpses of explosiveness on offense, and that didn't change last week. But it was the defense that really stepped up and played well. And if they can continue to get contributions on the defensive side of the ball the way they got last week, Lufkin could be really dangerous, not only in this district, but moving forward into the playoffs. So that's kind of an eye-opening result from the first week of district, Lufkin beating Nacogdoches. Ennis, not surprisingly, too much for Jacksonville, 57-0. Jacksonville obviously is down as a program right now, and Ennis is obviously coming off a state championship season, and we figure that they'll be in the mix all the way through the end for the district championship. And then how about Lindale going on the road and knocking off previously unbeaten Corsicana 19-7?
Yeah, I think that's the best win of the district slate from 16-5A through week 1, beating a 3-0 Corsicana team at their place and doing it by more than one possession. Looked really good in that game. And last week we talked about how it could be Corsicana that could easily slide into that 4th place if things went right. Well, I think it's time to start considering Lindale for that 4th place.
You guys are listening to the ETSN.fm podcast with Clint, Buckley, and Mike Graham. Speaking of Lindale, let's get right into it. They have a big one this week against John Tyler, the only matchup of unbeatens in district this week in 16-5A. What should we expect from this one?
Well, I look at it through the lens of double standards. You've got a Lindale team, one of the smallest in 5As that's put together this really solid team going up against a John Tyler team that has aspirations to get to the state semifinals and finally break through that barrier and go to the state championship game. But they've met a tough Lindale team, a team that can kind of muddle down things with its running game and burn clock and control possessions, and then probably has a better defense than offense with a playmaker at every single level of their defense. So I don't think it's going to be the 76-13 beatdown John Tyler put on them last year.
Well, let's hope not. For your case, anyway, since you'll be there Friday night.
Yeah, I think this has potential to be a very good game. And like you said, both teams are 2-0, and someone's going to get separation on that district. Someone's going to get a second win, where the magic number in the league is between 5 and 4 games to clinch the playoffs, and that's a big deal, especially for Lindale. Yeah,
the winner's going to be in good shape. Obviously, the winner will move to 2-0 in district and have 2 big hurdles cleared. I think the big matchup in this one is going to be JT's revamped offense. I mean, they put up 650 yards last week on White House against Lindale's stingy defense. We've seen what Lindale's defense has done so far this year. They've been really good. They shut out Chapel Hill in the season opener and then only give up 7 points on the road to Corsicana last week. They're playing awfully well on the defensive side of the ball, and if JT can keep it going on offense, this has the potential to be a very, very key matchup and a very, very fun one to watch for you on Friday.
Yeah, you're right. And Bryson Smith, the John Tyler quarterback, really turned the corner in his career, and that was a big one for him. Got his confidence back, didn't have to run as much as he was accustomed to through the first 3 games, all losses. And I think they've got things rolling in the right direction now. Another thing that I look at is the when the situation's reversed is Lindale's offense against John Tyler's defense, because Ryan Taylor, the running back for the Eagles, is a very solid player. They're going to want to play ball control, but they're running into a defensive unit that has its strength right there on the defensive line with Pierre Leonard and Braylon Jones, 2 Division I prospects. So that's also a matchup to look for in this game.
Another big one in this district pits Lufkin against White House Friday night at Wildcat Stadium in White House. This is a must-win game for the Wildcats, especially with Ennis looming next week. You go 0-2, you're staring 0-3 in the face next week. Big win for White House. It was obviously a disappointing performance from them a week ago against John Tyler. We mentioned giving up 650 yards of offense. They also weren't very disciplined. 23 penalties for almost 200 yards. John Tyler had its problem with penalties as well, but White House just costly penalty after costly penalty last week, and that really set them back on both sides of the ball. They're going to have to clean that up if they're going to want to pull off an upset. I believe it'd be an upset against Lufkin, even though they're playing at home. Meanwhile, Lufkin, they're looking to take the next step. They're trying to go 2-0 in district for the first time since 2011. And they have a really good chance in front of them after beating Nacogdoches last week 38-0. If they can come back and get a solid win against White House this week and go to 2-0 in district, I think Lufkin will feel awfully good about themselves moving forward.
Right, like we said, the magic number to get into the playoffs is between 5 and 4 games. Avenged multiple losses to Nacogdoches, which had hurt them in the past season. So, they're playing with an extra game, in my opinion, and looking real good at visiting White House on Friday.
Yeah, the big matchup I'm looking forward to in this game is going to be White House's secondary against Lufkin's receivers. We mentioned the big day that Damian Miller, John Tyler's star junior receiver and Texas commit, had against White House's defense last week. While Lufkin doesn't have a Damian Miller, so to speak, they have several options on offense, very, very capable weapons at the receiver position. When you talk about Dalen Phillips, when you talk about Jeremiah Davis, Malik Jackson, all of those guys are underclassmen too. Yeah. So, I mean, that's scary for the other schools in this district, knowing that they're going to have to play these guys, another year or two. But that's going to be the key matchup to me, is how well White House's defensive backs can match up with Lufkin's receivers.
Another thing, you've always got to factor in White House's offense and their quick strike capability. A lot of teams are going to panic if they go down by 2 possessions. For White House, probably not as big a deal as it would be for most programs, just the way they're airing it out. Colin Bullard looking fantastic, almost has broken 3,000 yards, and he's 1,000 yards, and he's just 3 games into his starting career, so he's a game behind everyone else. The high in East Texas is 1,722 yards, and he's just barely behind that pace.
Yeah, well, I mean, White House, if they can cut back on the penalties, and if they can kind of keep Lufkin's big play explosiveness in check, they have a great chance to come away with a win. Now it's time to recognize our offensive and defensive players of the week. First up on offense, it's Tyler Bishop Gorman receiver Judah Bell. In last week's win against Dallas Shelton in their district opener, 12 catches, 251 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He pulled a Julio Jones for Gorman last Friday night. I mean, he was making plays all over the field, and he's a big reason why the Crusaders are 4-0 to begin the year.
Yeah, he's a good-looking kid and just a matchup nightmare for everyone in TAP's Division II, District 2. That's something you can expect almost every week. He has a great quarterback, too, Michael Goodwin, and through 4 games, that's the most competent offense of the East Texas teams. Although Tyler Grace makes an argument now. Christopher Wilhelmy's really come on, but congratulations to Judah Bell. That's a guy you need to watch for in the recruiting sphere sooner than later.
Yeah, only a junior.
Yeah.
And our defensive player of the week is John Tyler defensive lineman Pierre Leonard.
Yeah, really strong performance, 2 blocked punts, a sack, and a fumble recovery. And you take away his contributions from John Tyler on Friday, could have been a completely different game against White House. Yep. 1 punt rolled back into the end zone, and White House had to kick it out, and then gave the ball back to John Tyler, which burned time off the clock, although I don't think John Tyler scored on that possession. Then just another one set up a short field for a touchdown, and then took away another possession with that fumble recovery. And that's a kid that has a lot of respect from a lot of the coaches around that district. Off the record, they'll talk about how he's kind of the strength of that defensive line. He has 1 offer from Southern right now. He's a little bit undersized, but I think that's a player that could come up as long as John Tyler performs down the stretch of this season.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those players in East Texas, and you see a handful of them every year that play bigger than their size. We saw a JT kid last year like that, Jeremy Wilson, the running back, who, I believe in a playoff game got 30 carries at like 150, 155 pounds and was still effective. So Pierre Leonard, while undersized for the interior play on the defensive line, maybe at the next level, he's getting it done in high school right now, and he's definitely a area of concern for opposing offensive coordinators and opposing head coaches as they try to game plan against John Tyler's defense.
Yeah, good leader too.
Yeah, so congratulations to our ETSN.fm and Dairy Queen players of the week, Judah Bell from Tyler Bishop Gorman and Pierre Leonard from John Tyler. Well, we're out of time for this week. If you have time, please check out ETSN.fm. We have all your East Texas football needs. We have stats, standings, game previews, and a couple of features up on the site right now, getting you ready for another week of action. If you have any questions or comments for us, please hit us up on Twitter at Clint Buckley or at Mike_ETSN. Join us next week when we'll be discussing Week 7 in East Texas. For Mike Graham, I'm Clint Buckley. Have a great weekend.